everybody. I want to add my welcome to Janet. I'm Melissa C. I'm a recovered compulsive overeater. I'm in New York and really happy to be here tonight. Going to talk about the appendix in the big book. And, it's last time on last Monday, Janet had finished up We Agnostics and I was going to move right into step three. But in the book, the appendix is discussed in as like a bridge, really, between two and three to help clear up some information for people. And in a meeting that I listened to in the morning, they were reading the appendix, and I thought, oh yes, this is really important information, and it comes right at a perfect time. You know, and I would say, the appendix it's supplemental. That's what an appendix is. It's a supplemental piece that further gives us more information. And so, I'm not going to just stay strictly in the appendix, but we kind of have to talk about where it shows up, that asterisk pointing us to it. And then I'll, delve into it as well. And I want to say really before I jump into the topic that I have recovered, when we say like recovered, that I've recovered from what was seemingly hopeless. And it wasn't on my human power, right? Because my human power, really what landed me in Overeaters Anonymous for hopefully the last time, because I used to do this come and leave, come and stay and leave and bounce around. But the last time that I came because I knew that my human power was not enough. Like I had exhausted all my resources. I had really good information about what I should and shouldn't eat. I knew it. It was so clear, and I couldn't abide by the information that I had. I did not have the human power to to follow what I knew I needed to do. And that was crushing, because how is it that something? I'm a fairly intelligent person with a pretty good ability to put into application information that I have, right? In every other area, you give me a little information about something, and then I just put it to good use. And how was it that I had information about what I needed to do and I couldn't do it? And that, they say, is a crushing blow. But, good news for us is there is a power that can do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. So that's really what we're going to talk about. And in We Agnostics, page 45 says this, you know, well, that's exactly what this book is about. This is like a paragraph right there. Its main object is to enable you to find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem, right? So I had a problem that I couldn't solve, but we've got a book. And the purpose of this book is to give me access, to enable me to a power that will solve this problem. And it means we've written a book which we believe to be spiritual as well as moral. And it means, of course, that we are going to talk about God. So, of course, we're going to talk about God. And, the entire book, every chapter, in fact, are written with the precise motive to help us find God. That is the purpose of this book, right? So, okay, great. Every chapter in this could be about having a spiritual experience then, but my focus is really going to be on the appendix. And I think the appendix shouldn't be read in isolation. An appendix, by definition, is a section of extra information added at the end of a book. Like I said, it's supplementary material, usually attached at the end of a piece of writing. and it's meant to add important information. And so, like, add to what, right? What is it that I'm adding to? Well, we can look and see where the asterisk comes in the text and what are the paragraphs that point us to the appendix and what are the paragraphs saying that might require some supplemental information. So on page 27, it says some of our alcoholic readers may think they can do without spiritual help. Let us tell you the rest of the conversation our friend had with his doctor. The doctor said, "You have the mind of a chronic alcoholic. I've never seen one single case recover where that state of mind existed to the extent that it does in you." Our friend felt as though the gates of hell had closed on him with a clang. He said to the doctor, "Is there no exception?" "Yes," replied the doctor, "there is. Exceptions to cases such as yours have been occurring since early times. Here and there, once in a while, alcoholics had what are called vital spiritual experiences. To me, these occurrences are phenomena. They appear to be in the nature of huge emotional displacements and rearrangements, ideas, emotions, and attitudes, which were once the guiding forces of our lives, of these men, are suddenly cast to one side and a completely new set of conceptions and motives begin to dominate." And then he says, "In fact, I've been trying to produce some such emotional rearrangement with you. With many individuals, methods which I have employed have been successful, but I've never been successful with an alcoholic of your description." And then there's the asterisk, right? At the end there's the asterisk, and it's pointing us to the appendix. And so, you read that and it says this vital spiritual experience, right? And then it describes it that it's a huge emotional displacement rearrangement. So we get rearranged. Our emotions get rearranged. Our ideas get rearranged. Our attitudes get rearranged. And that prior to this spiritual experience, the ones that we used to have were our guiding forces. It's what guided us along, kept us doing the things we were doing, believing the things we were believing, saying the things we were saying. And then what happens? We have this experience, and it's like, nope, no more. New guiding force, right? That's no longer going to be your guiding force. And then, and so in the spiritual experience, when you go to the spiritual experience, and you read this, it sounds like a huge change that happens to a person, that is what a spiritual experience is. That the way we think, feel, and behave gets moved away, and a whole new way of thinking, feeling, and behaving takes over. And I say it like this: my life perspective gets completely overhauled. New life perspective, new way of viewing life. And in We Agnostics, it says this, page 46: much to our relief, we discovered we did not need to consider another conception of God. Our own conception, however inadequate, was sufficient to make the approach and to effect a contact with him. So this means that we can start from an inadequate conception, meaning that you can have an idea that is weak, incapable, unable to deal with the situation. It might not be quite enough. And we can start there. What it doesn't mean is that we can simply make up God. When we say starting with our own conception, it doesn't mean that I can start with whatever I feel like, right? So I can't just take something, like my glasses and say this is God now. Okay, this is going to be my no, right? That it can't be that. Because if I can think up a God, if I have enough power to conceive of God, to make up God, then I'm the higher power. And that's not what this is. But I can begin with my own conception, and I think about a conception as a beginning, is a birth, is a start. And I think about it like this, how a child sees their mom, perhaps. It starts with a very basic idea, a very basic thing, right? As a baby, the mom is the arms that hold you and the one that feeds you, right? But as a child grows, their understanding of their mother changes, right? But in no way did that child make up their mother. That child, the mother was there all along, but as they grew, their conception, their understanding of what it was grows. And that's sort of how I think about it with God. And that our program is so wonderfully open that we can start with the most simplest term for us. So it says there, when therefore we speak to you of God, we mean your own conception of God. This applies to other spiritual expressions which you find in this book. Do not let any prejudice you may have against spiritual terms deter you from honestly asking yourself what they mean to you. At the start, this was all we needed to commence spiritual growth, to affect our first conscious relation with God as we understood Him. So I would say to somebody who might be struggling to form a beginning, a start, here we're told what to do. It says, okay, don't let any spiritual term get in the way. Ask yourself what all spiritual terms, and for us, we can open up the book and use the book and look for the spiritual terms used in our book. And we'll know that they're spiritual terms because they're generally capitalized, right? And we can ask ourselves, what do those terms honestly mean to you? And we can start there, right? We're told you can start there. And then afterward, we found ourselves accepting many things which seemed entirely out of reach. That was growth. But if we wished to grow, we had to begin somewhere. So we used our own conception, however limited it was. And again, my conception is my understanding, and it can be limited. My understanding can be limited, but my power that I tap in must be limitless, right? So my understanding is small in the beginning, but the power that exists is a limitless power. We must have that. How else am I going to turn it all over to something, right? So I'm getting a little definition, even here, of that it's got to be something limitless, And news alert, it actually also has to be loving and caring. Because otherwise, how am I going to rely on something that doesn't love me and care for me, right? It has to have both, right? It has to have that. So again, my conception, my understanding, limited. Okay, we needed to ask ourselves but one short question. Do I now believe, or am I even willing to believe, that there is a power greater than myself? As soon as a man can say that he does believe or is willing to believe, we emphatically assure him that he is on his way. It has been repeatedly proven among us that upon this simple cornerstone, a wonderfully effective spiritual structure can be built. And then we're reminded to read the appendix, right? We've got that asterisk and we're pointed to the appendix, which, I have to tell you, prior to recovery and really working this book and this program, I would never have read the appendix on my own, right? Just like I always would ignore forwards. Appendix were like other things. I didn't really need to read it. But clearly, they want us to read it because it's going to help make something inconceivable conceivable, right? It's going to give us help. And I've been repeatedly told in the book, all of the step one chapters, that, in all of the step one chapters, I was repeatedly told that on my own, I cannot overcome the disease of compulsive eating, that I must form a relationship with God and the idea of the spiritual awakening. Like that starts getting driven home. So the terms spiritual awakening and spiritual experience, now we're in it, right? Now you can turn to it because now we're ready to really look at it. It says they're used many times in this book, which upon careful reading shows that the personality change sufficient to bring about recovery from alcoholism has manifested itself among us in many different forms. So, this paragraph is telling us what a spiritual awakening is or a spiritual experience is. It's a personality change, which, sounds very earthly, right? Oh, a personality change. Like, that's pretty, like, that doesn't sound really spiritual, right? And you might be thinking, like I did, like, why should my personality change? Why do I have to change my personality? I don't have a personality problem. I have a food problem. There's nothing wrong with my personality. Like, what if I like myself? Right? I think like those kind of questions would come to me. Like, I like myself. What if I like myself? Well, what if I like the way I do my things? What if I like who I am and I'm quite happy with the person I am inside? And, I can answer that quite simply. You know, if you like yourself so much, why are you killing her or him with food? Why are you eating that person that you like so much to death? You know, why is it that you have an eating problem? And I could say it to me. Why is it that I knew I had a problem and yet I kept right on doing the thing that was causing me the problem? And if that be your case, you may have more of a personality problem than you know. And it might help too if we can look closely at just what a personality is, right? So a personality is defined as a characteristic set of behaviors. It's the cognitions, the way we think, it's the emotional patterns, it's the way we feel. And that, it says that they evolve, they come about from biological and environmental factors. That's what a personality is. So most theories view that actually personalities are relatively stable. They say that someone's personality is generally fixed in place early on, and that how you behave, how you think, how you feel comes from some natural things and some things that are environmental. So, and it's not something that changes too much. That's what they say. Like some people are born more nervous and fearful, and some are shy, and others are outgoing. I think about when my two children were born, different personalities. My daughter was much more curious about the world around her. She, like, and then my son seemed more like cautious, right? And so some things are just innate. And, and so we take those natural tendencies and you add in parents and you add in siblings and you add in your schooling and maybe your religious upbringing and all the experiences that you've had, and you combine them and you get a personality, which experts actually say that it gets almost locked in place by a certain age, mostly. And yet, a spiritual experience means that the things that I do, the thoughts that I have, and the way that I feel, what I like, what I don't like, what scares me, thrills me, challenges me, disappoints me, puzzles me, etc. All of those things change. And they don't just change, but they actually change for the better. They actually become better. And that there's a huge improvement. I would say for myself, I think I have a better personality today than I had when I first came in. You know, and although experts might say personalities don't normally change, I know for a fact that we are talking about what happens when the miraculous hand of God comes in and does work on us. That, yeah, it might, experts can say whatever they want. Doctors also have said that people who are morbidly obese generally don't maintain healthy body weights. You know, Once they lose their weight, they all gain it back. And that's not been our truth in this story either, right? So, um, you know, Here's the best part about this personality change that we get is that it's sufficient enough, powerful enough to remove the insanity of the magnetic pull of the food. Like our personalities change, they become better. And along with this new personality, on my end, the food that once owned me don't even look good anymore. They don't even interest me. There's no need for willpower because the new personality that took root, along with it came someone who really doesn't even like the smell or the appearance of those foods that one time smelled so good and looked so good. You know, my personality's been revised. It's upgraded. It's been improved. The things I like, the things that excite me, the things I long for, the things that I'm interested in, they're different. I behave differently. I think differently. My perspective and my worldview are actually not the same. The word that is pervasive throughout all of this is change. This is all about change. And I think the spiritual awakening is the awareness that God has taken me as if I was a ball of clay and reshaped me into something that is far more useful to Him. That He has taken me and reworked me into someone who's able to be an agent, who's able to do what His assignment is for me. And, you know, people often fear the idea of not liking who they're going to become. Sometimes that's a fear people have, especially in step 3, when we're told, okay, you're going to place yourself unreservedly in God's hands and let God do with you what you want. And there's this fear sometimes people have, like, oh, what if I don't really like what's going to happen to me? And, you know, in the chapter of Vision for You on page 152, it states it really clearly. Yes, I'm willing, but am I to be consigned to a life where I shall be stupid, boring, and glum, like some righteous people I see? I know I must get along without liquor, but how can I? Have you a sufficient substitute? And I would say this, I can only share with you what I've noticed. I have not found people in recovery to be boring and stupid. In fact, what I have seen are people who come alive. That is what I've witnessed when I've worked the steps with sponsees. I see them change in ways that it's like the light comes on in their eyes and there's this new and wonderful person, you know, that they're transforming into. They begin to have a new passion for living. God does not turn us, by the way, into one homogenous mush. You know, what God seems to do is He keeps the best parts of us and makes them better, more pronounced, and more useful. And if you think about in step 7, when we ask God, you know, to take the defects that are no longer useful, right? That's kind of what happens. You know, he takes the parts that weren't so great, he tweaks it and changes it or just removes it. But he doesn't necessarily remove the essence of what it means to be you. I think, you know, if I'm alive today, the universe and God has a plan for me, and it's different from Janet. So Janet gets to be Janet, and I get to be me. And it's different from Michelle and Darcy and Esther and Aya. It's different. We all get to be ourselves, but the best version of ourselves as God would have us be. And, you know, and so then it says here, yes, it's true that our first printing gave many readers the impression that these personality changes or religious experiences must be in the nature of sudden and spectacular upheavals. Happily for everyone, this conclusion is erroneous. In the first few chapters, a number of sudden revolutionary changes are described, though it was not our intention to create such an impression. Many alcoholics have nevertheless concluded that in order to recover, they must acquire an immediate and overwhelming God consciousness, followed at once by a vast change in feeling and outlook. So people believe that this should be a sudden change. And I had actually thought that I was stuck at step 2 way back then because I didn't feel God. I was like, I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it. And that God consciousness was the definition of step 2. That's what I thought step 2 was like God consciousness. And I thought that at step 2, I would get this powerful awareness of God. I would just know that I would have it and that I would change almost magically. And then I would be able to change into this great person. And actually, I have to say, I didn't even care about changing into a great person. I'll be honest. I didn't really care about that. Rather, I wanted to be a strong person. I thought, okay, I'll be a strong person who gets to be thin and disciplined. Like that's what I thought a spiritual experience was. Make me immediately thin, make me immediately disciplined, and then by the way, and then I'll do the steps, right? And if that's what you're thinking, then like chances are you're not alone, right? But thankfully, you're mistaken. That's a mistake. Because while there are stories of fellows who have had that white light moment, a lot of us have not. And if you haven't, it does not mean that you can't get well. And I have to tell you, my awareness of the God consciousness sort of happens as I reflect back. In the moment, I did not recognize that what was happening was the powerful hand of God working in my life. But I could look back and say, oh, yeah, that was the powerful hand of God working in my life. I didn't recognize it in the moment. You know, someone has said to me once, life is lived forward, but thought about and understood looking backwards, right? So in my looking back, I realized I did have some of those vital spiritual experiences. So here it says, among our rapidly growing membership of thousands of alcoholics, such transformations, though frequent, are by no means the rule. Most of our experiences are what the psychologist William James calls the educational variety, because they develop slowly over a period of time. Quite often, friends of the newcomer are aware of the difference long before he is himself. He finally realizes that he has undergone a profound alteration in his reaction to life, that such a change could hardly have been brought about by himself alone. What often takes place in a few months could seldom have been accomplished by years of self discipline. With few exceptions, our members find that they have tapped an unsuspected inner resource which they presently identify with their own conception of a power greater than themselves. So, most people's personalities do not change overnight, and instead they have an educational transformation. And an educational transformation means that through instruction, information, illumination, and enlightening, they change ever so slowly in measured increments. And in our case, what's a measured increment? Steps. We change through steps. So, step by step, we begin to change. And the people around us begin to witness these changes, sometimes before the addict notices. And I have to say, it's one of the most rewarding parts of sponsorship when you see people come in owned by food, owned by their self pity, owned by their circumstances, physically looking ill, unable to make eye contact, self centered, self absorbed, full of self pity, you know, and the doctor's opinion describes the witnessing of this transformation. It talks about, that he sees a man, and that 1 year prior to the experience, he looks like one way, and then what happens is a year later he sees that same person, and he has this weird experience that he hardly recognizes him, because coming from what he was like, a trembling, despairing, nervous wreck, emerges a man brimming over with self-reliance and contentment. So here the doctor, is describing how this person has been transformed. And I've seen it too. Here are some examples, right? I'm going to share some of my wonderful examples. And if you've, and if you hear your story here, if I'm telling your example, one of your gorgeous transformations that I've been privileged to witness, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to witness it. And I'm going to share it. I've had people who hated their coworkers, hated their boss, to actually having compassion and actually finding likable traits in their coworkers and their boss. I've met people who have been unable to be alone without eating, like somebody who was like, I can't be in the house by myself because I'm going to eat, to someone who actually enjoys reading when they're alone, who can just pick up a book and enjoy reading a piece of literature, right? I actually had a sponsee, this is actually two sponsees of mine who hated their dogs. Can you believe it? Like, who struggled with being a pet owner. And here, one person discovered that she needed to train her dog, that she had dropped the ball on being a responsible pet owner. She trained her dog as she worked the steps and loves her dog, actually found a relationship with her dog. I had someone who spent all their time vegging out in front of the TV, to someone who now says they can watch a particular show, love it and enjoy it, and then shut it off and go live life, right? Someone who argues and fights with everyone, their in-laws, their coworkers, their neighbors, their spouse, to someone who just doesn't get worked up about that anymore. Someone who's terrified of their loved ones dying and getting sick, to a person appreciative of the gifts of living in the moment. Someone who can't get out of bed. I had a sponsee who couldn't get out of bed in the morning to see her children off to school, whose husband actually told her, don't get up in the morning because you come down in such a state that your kids are crying, to someone who would ride bikes with her children to school, would actually ride bikes together with their children to school. My experience was I used to come down every morning and throw a nasty temper tantrum, leaving everybody feeling unsettled, unhappy. My daughter had to make her own lunch from the time she was a little girl because I just couldn't get myself together to do it. And she would have to sort of pull things together because the things that she thought were going to be in the house weren't there. She got really creative, right? To someone who, like, nope, I could easily make lots of people food, lots of people lunch. Everything that they thought would be in the house was in the house. I generally don't have temper tantrums in the morning. I wake up, if there's a sink full of dishes, I feel grateful that I have people in my home that I love, that there's enough food for, and I can do their dishes. That's a spiritual experience in real time. It's a personality change, and generally it's slow and it's a steady shift. And if you've had a profound alteration like these, it becomes clear that it wasn't you that changed you. Of course, we cooperate with the change, but the actual change was done to you and not by you. And that all the self-discipline in the world does not turn a person from someone, in my situation, unable to make eye contact, because I was so beaten down at the end, to a woman who really is brimming over with happiness and confidence. I rarely find myself in situations where I'm unable to make eye contact, where I'm unable to greet people and just be okay. Even if I walk in a room and I don't think everybody in there thinks I'm great or loves me, I'm still able to walk in a room and make eye contact and be okay. How is that? That's the workings of God. That we find we have been given an inner resource and we can call upon it. And in step 3, we're promised it. And how it works, page 63, it says, we have a new employer, being all powerful. He provided what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. Established on such a footing, we become less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs, and more we became interested in seeing what we can contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, we discovered we can face life successfully. As we became conscious of his presence, we begin to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. We're reborn. This is a rebirth that they're talking about. So here the personality change is being described as becoming less self-centered and more interested in other people and interested in how we can contribute. And as a result, we become less afraid. Now, most of us think of this awareness of a power greater than ourselves is the essence of a spiritual experience. And our more religious members call it God consciousness. So, this awareness that it was an unsuspected inner resource is the God consciousness, realizing that God has done for you that which you could not have done for yourself, which is the 9th step promise, right? The awareness that God is doing for me what I could not do for myself. And it says here, most emphatically, we wish to say that any alcoholic capable of honestly facing his problems in the light of our experience can recover, provided he does not close his mind to all spiritual concepts. He can only be defeated by an attitude of intolerance or belligerent denial. So the spiritual experience impresses the understanding that we have to be honest, we have to be open-minded to all spiritual concepts. I need tolerance, and my understanding of tolerance is not in that smug, self-righteous way of looking down on others as though I have to tolerate them, right? That used to be my thinking about tolerance. Ugh, I've got to just tolerate you. That's not what this is. But rather, I have to strengthen myself by not paying such close attention to every little feeling of discomfort I have. That I can learn to tolerate others' ideas, others' perspectives, and accept that different people do things and see things differently. And I say it like this: I have to get thicker skinned. My skin has to be a little thicker. I can accept that I'm not going to get my way most of the time, even if I think my way is the right way, right? Even if you believe your way is the right way, you're just not going to get it all the time. And the less attached I am to the outcomes, the more I trust God. The more I trust God, the less attached I am to the outcomes. And the more I find my faith is strengthened. If I'm not practicing belligerent denial, which is what we don't want, right? We don't want to have belligerent denial. Then I'm living with an easygoing, amicable acceptance. That's the opposite. Easygoing and amicably accepting. It's a decision to allow God to move me from being a skeptic with an eagle eye for the flaws in others to a woman who is open to the miraculous and looks to overlook imperfections, right? That's got to be my attitude. And we find that no one need have difficulty with the spirituality of the program. Willingness, honesty, and open mindedness are the essentials of recovery, but these are indispensable. There is a principle, which is a bar, like a bar against all information, which is proof against all arguments, and which cannot fail to keep a man in everlasting ignorance. That principle is contempt prior to investigation. And I have to say, I would say, this is a really, really important paragraph. And it's grown to be one that is actually one of my favorites because it tells me exactly what one of my problems has been to having a spiritual experience. And here's what it was. Because remember, a spiritual experience is essential. That's what we're here for. So if you're having a problem with it, what is most likely one of the problems you're having? Contempt. Contempt. The feeling that it is beneath your consideration. That was my problem. I had a contemptuous attitude that it's beneath my consideration that someone's idea is worthless or deserving of scorn. It's the idea that I don't care about God. Doesn't matter to me. What do I care about that? Why should I be interested in your spiritual practice? Why should I learn from you? Why should I listen to how you connect with your God? That is something that will keep me in everlasting darkness, right? I don't want that. I need to have consideration, to not have contempt prior to investigation. It's a disregard for something that should be taken into account. And that, unfortunately, for years was how I viewed God, spirituality, and religion. And the worst part of it all was that I never investigated. Here it's told, investigate. Investigation. God wants me to look for him, investigate, to find. He wants me to seek. And if you're wondering how you can have a spiritual experience, you start by looking for one, an openness to look for one. And with that, I will pass. Thanks.